my talk was about the current situation in Japan regarding genomic sequencing. So I talk about recent approval of the two genomic sequencing panel in Japan and national healthcare insurance coverage starting this month. So this is very exciting because people have access to comprehensive genomic profiling. And then also I talk about the Japanese government national effort to not only doing genomic sequencing, but the collecting and genomic data and also clinical data to the central repository called CCAT. This is very important because we have to analyze, how people do after genomic sequencing, and it is crucial to collect the clinical response data, which has been very challenging. But in Japan, so government set up a framework to collect all the response data from individual patients who actually did a genomic sequencing under national health insurance. So that would be quite important data for the global community. So it's just starting. So we haven't actually seen the result, but it is expected that about 5,000 to 20,000 people will get genomic sequencing per year. And then you can imagine that over 10 years or so, there are large number of patients' data. And then that is a very precious data for the both academic research and also the industry partner who want to develop a new diagnostic test or therapeutics. And so that's that nationwide effort, and it's kind of unique, I would say, in the global community, because everyone is struggling to collect important patients' data. But in Japan, somehow they are able to set up this nationwide effort. So I think that will really contribute to the world. Also, in the last part of my talk, we discussed about the difficulty of accessing drug after genomic sequencing, because most of the time, treatment candidate we discover in genomic sequencing is so-called off-label, meaning that drug is there, but the indication is for different cancer types. In Japan, off-label use is prohibited, so it's very, very difficult, except for clinical trials or very special circumstances. So probably the best way to solve this problem is increase the number of clinical trials. So at my institution, Tokyo Medical Dental University, and other 8 institutions started a program called Jupiter trial, which is a basket trial. Doesn't ask the tumor type, but only enroll patients based on genomic alterations. So we started on HER2 amplified cohort. So then if patient has HER2 amplifications, so patient can receive the trastuzumab and pertuzumab drug combinations. And so that's kind of similar to ASCO taper trial. So we are kind of aligned to global community. So if this kind of basket trial expands, more patients are able to receive medication and treatment. So I hope it helps. And also we discussed about the compassionate use program. It doesn't exist in Japan or most of the countries. The only country that I know exists is in the US. So I thought it's very difficult to access to this compassionate use, but sounds like the pharma companies have a dedicated program for this compassionate use outside of the US. So I think that could help for the global community to treat more patients using aid from the drug companies. So compassionate use is a program established by pharma companies. If patient has a very life-threatening disease, and but for example, after genomic sequencing, they discover some mutations and drug candidates. But this drug is not available through clinical trials. But there's a scientific literature which shows that, this drug may work or actually would work. So if there's a scientific basis and drug company has that medication, there's a chance that actually medication could help patient. So, and then drug company is, their mission, the ultimate mission is, to help patients. So they have a dedicated program to provide the drug for just compassionate use or ethical purpose, because that could help life. So that's called compassionate use, and it's exists in the U.S. And I was told it's not available outside of the U.S., but actually it does. And there's a dedicated small group of people who are the assistants to access to the medications. So it's called, one of them is called early access care. That's a small group of people who actually help to navigate the system and assist patients to get the medication. So I hope this kind of effort, it's kind of grassroots, could really help patients.